Hi everyone, welcome to my weekly edition of Show Me How It's Done. My name is Lauren Urbonis and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Now, the project that I have for you today is one that's actually been in my little prepped bin of video presentations for a while. So I have to be honest and tell you that the designer series paper that you see on this card is actually no longer available. It was one that was offered in our holiday catalog, and that's okay. I'm going to show you how you can substitute it for something that we currently have, and you can still make this beautiful card. But I wanted to show you this set because they are still pretty. I designed them around Christmas time, hence the red and the green. And I thought, hey, let's use some different colors and make sort of a different card in today's set. But this still gives you a couple ideas, and if you own the designer series paper called Garden Walk, then you can easily use that for these cards too. So I have all the measurements listed in the description on the video. Feel free to hit that pause button and cut all your pieces ahead of time, or I will also walk you through how to do the project with me. Okay, I'm gonna move, maybe I'll move one of these, and pardon my little pile here. I'm getting ready for April monthly card club, and I have little piles of the zinnia pieces because we're going to be making a card using that. Do you want a sneak peek? Okay, it'll be quick. Beep. See, and it was blurry. Just a little sneak peek, but that's one of my April card clubs cards. Those I can ship anywhere in Canada. You get a set of 3 cards. They're always a surprise because I play with whatever I feel like playing with for the month. And those classes are, at the moment, they're $15 plus $2 shipping if you need it shipped out, or it's free with a $35 order in Canada. So I am going to get you started though on today's project. So what we're going to start with is a card base. Whoops, I'm throwing things here. Okay, so my card base that I've chosen to use is Sweet Sorbet, and you can use anything you have in your stash. So of course, my paper here is cut at 5.5 by 8 1/2. And then we're going to score right down the middle at 4.25. So it's just a standard card base, easy enough to use. And then of course we need something for the inside of our card. So let's go ahead and add that right away. I'm just going to add a piece of basic white. This is going to be 4 inches by 5.25. And I just like to have that in there so it's easy to write on. People can easily read what you're doing. And you can come back and stamp in here later if you like. I'll show you the bundle in a moment that I'm featuring, and it does have some beautiful stamp sets that you can use as well. So I'm a double-sided tape person, but whatever your preference is, you go ahead and grab that, whether it's seal or glue or tape. Go ahead and grab that to attach this. There should just be a slight little border around the edge, nothing too major. Just try to sneak that inside. All right, now moving on to the front of my card here. I have a few of these things prepped, mostly because I didn't want to have to bring my cut and emboss machine up on the table so many times. But you'll need to grab a piece of cardstock. So you can see on here I used Garden Green, but because we're using different designer series paper this time, I went with Pretty Peacock. This is going to be cut a little smaller, so it's 3 3/4 by 5, because I wanted to actually see a bit of the background around it. I didn't want it to have just a really subtle border like we have inside. So again, 3 3/4 by 5, and you can see there's a bit of embossing on there. So I did use our exposed brick 3D embossing folder for that. I am very happy to report this is carrying on to the 2024-2025 annual catalog, so you will have lots of time to use it. It's a very subtle embossing folder, and it's easy to use just in the background because it doesn't have a really repetitive pattern. It's nice and easy, I guess, for you to just throw onto anything. Okay, so this piece here I'm going to put flat So I know usually I like dimension, but we're adding dimension already in some other parts. So this guy, throw some tape, throw some seal, throw some glue on the back of that, and we'll put it onto our card base. Whenever I am putting something that has embossing on it, I like to give a full perimeter of adhesive because there's not as many places for the adhesive to touch on an embossed surface. So you do really want to make sure it looks even. Otherwise you get kind of a bubble look, and that kind of can ruin your card sometimes. So just give yourself a full perimeter. Whoops. Don't worry about the center because that's going to get weighted down once we add these pieces. So again, it'll have a little thicker of a border so that you can see that nice red in the background. Oops, you need to move over. It's always fun doing this in front of myself. It's like a foot away. Here, I'm happy with that. Okay, now I'm going to continue my layering job here. So my next piece is going to be another piece of Sweet Sorbet, and that's matching my base. So if you've chosen something different, you will match your base. And we're actually going to cut two different pieces here, okay? So one's going to be for our kind of focal point right here, and the other is going to be for our sentiment. So let's cut them both at once because it's the same color. This square here, it's not actually a square, it's technically a rectangle because it's slightly off. We're going to go 3 1/4 by 3 1/2. Okay, so just make sure that you know that it's not an even square. 3 1/4 by 3 1/2. And then we've got a 1 inch by 3 1/4 rectangle here. So those 3 1/4 are going to be the same size. We can just check them here. If I had this one tilted, you would notice immediately that there's a difference in the length. So just confirm that those two are the same, and then we're going to attach them to our card base. Now I like to just line them up first before putting any adhesive. That means that I know they'll fit. If I had to trim something because I've made a mistake somewhere, I easily can do that, okay? So I'm happy with the placement. I've got a nice border around the edge and a little gap in between the two. For my bottom rectangle, the smaller one here, we're putting tape on the back. And I'm going to attach that right now. Oh, there's my take your pick tool. I didn't know where that one went. So sometimes I just use scissor edges. There we go. Okay, this one's going in the bottom, nice and flat. Maybe move it over a bit. Sometimes it's nice to put this on embossed surfaces because you can kind of rest it in place and then see if you actually like it before pressing down nice and firmly. Now this guy here, we're popping up on dimensionals. This is where we're going to start building a little bit of life. So grab some, you know what, those are mini dimensionals. Let's grab some bigger ones. I make, these edge pieces. Edge pieces are great to use. Never throw these out because they're nice and large. They'll give you a really nice balanced surface. And then I rarely even buy the full-size dimensionals anymore because I'll use the mini dimensionals for all my inside pieces. And then I can just use one of these outside perimeters for large sections like this, okay? So dimensionals all over that. And we're going to plug that right back in its spot, making sure it's facing the correct way again. Don't want it tilting on its side. There we go. Okay, I guess this one did get moved up a little, and that's okay. It will look fine once I add all my other details. So now we get to have a little bit of fun. I mentioned that the Garden Walk Designer paper is retired, so you might have it in your stash, but if you don't, then here is another alternative. This is called the Forever Love Designer Series paper, and it is currently in our January to April mini catalog. Look how pretty it is. It's got gold on one side. Most of the pages are pretty peacock, and then you have one moody mauve, which is kind of funny to me. But then the back sides, you have all sorts of different tones. So we've got a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of moody mauve, and pretty peacock, and then even a little bit of the blushing note. What would you be? Petal pink. Petal pink is hiding in there. That would be that tone there. So this is a gorgeous package. If you're somebody who likes shine and shimmer, the Forever Love Designer Series paper is what you want to go with. So I cut myself 3 strips of designer paper. You can make these the same size, or I mean the same pattern, or you could do like 3 different pieces from the package as well. But what you need in the end is 3 pieces that measure 1 inch by 3 inches. Okay, so however you want to do that is up to you. And then again, just like we did with the other pages, we're going to put these into place before we put adhesive on them, because we want to make sure they fit, just in case like this you need to move something up and give them an even spacing. Okay, when you are happy, then you can start adding adhesive, and I'm going to once again put dimensionals on the back of these. So this is where those mini dimensionals are going to come in handy. Just going to start with the one on the bottom here, and we'll put some mini dimensionals on the back, and this is going to pop your card out even more for you. So you can do 4, maybe 5 of those. Put this one in place, and then you can grab the next one. One. It's already looking a lot different, but you can see how just switching out the designer series paper can make a completely different card for you. This one I would probably use for more of a sophisticated event, like somebody's birthday. And this one here is kind of like an encouragement or a thinking of you card. Even a thank you card. All right, that one up top. There we go. Now we need a little strip of white so we can stamp. So that little strip of white here, we're going to go 3/4 of an inch by 3 inches. And we're not going to attach this one yet because I always like to stamp on this in case you make a mistake. You can easily flip it over or recut something if you've made a mistake on both sides, then you're not trying to pry it off the card. So I'm going to move that one out of my way, and I will show you the stamp set that we're using not only for this flower here, but for our sentiment. So this Transluscent Florals bundle, see how pretty it is? Any of these would be easy to add to the inside of your card later. This is an online exclusive set. So the good thing about that is a lot of our sets are going to be retiring at the end of April. They're only available while supplies last. And on April 9th, there's actually going to be a last chance sale on a lot of things from the annual catalog. There's a lot in our mini catalog that are just carrying over, and so those aren't going to be on sale. But the nice thing with the online exclusives is that they don't have an end date right now. As long as they're online, they're current, and even if you see them currently unavailable, that means Stampin' Up! Is just getting another shipment of them. So the online exclusives, they're not in print, as you can probably guess. If you head to my website, learnerbonus.stampinup.net, you'll see a little search box in the top right hand. And if you just type in online exclusives, then you will get a whole list of the paper, the stamps, even there's some punches, all of the things that are available only online. This is something that Stampin' Up! Is doing a little maybe as a trial run, just to see how it's going. They've brought back some things like some of our favorite circle punches that they're not putting in a catalog per se, but they are offering them online. So I'm really hopeful that maybe it's a way that they can bring back some favorite products in the future, that they'll just like order a specific amount, put them online, and then once they're gone, they're gone. So these guys, again, no specific end date, but they've been really good at restocking them so far. So I'm happy to report this is still available. You can get it past the April 30th date, and it's a really fun bundle for you to play with now and in combination with some of the new sets that are coming out. So all I did was grab You're the Best from this set for my sentiment, but you can use anything really. And we are using some of the dies, so you'll notice they're missing from this page for now, because we're going to use them to do our card. So let me move this out of the way. I'm just using Memento Black Ink because it's kind of the easiest one. Oops, wrecking my piles here. It's the easiest one to match with any of my color schemes. So Memento Black, You're the Best, and I'm putting that just nice and centered on that white strip. There, I'm happy with that, but if I wasn't, can easily turn it over, try again. Let's put some tape on the back of this. We're not popping it up, it's just going on flat. And it's going to go right in the center of this little red rectangle. All right, now for some fun. We're going to learn how to make this flower. So it's very simple, but it's maybe something you haven't thought of before. So this is some vellum cardstock. You can see it's quite translucent. You can let light through it, and it's pretty. But did you know that if you take our blends markers, you can actually color the vellum? So you end up with a flower that's very see-through and beautiful instead of just using a yellow, red, and green cardstock. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do that. So you do have to use a blend for this. This is an alcohol-based marker. You cannot use our Stampin' Up! Markers. They will smear and they won't set or dry nicely. These will dry very quickly. So all we're going to do is we're going to sit here and just scribble a bunch of red. I am using the Sweet Sorbet blend, the dark one, and if you really wanted to, you could do some shading in here too, but we're going to color enough so that if I was to put down both of my nice flower dies like this, they will both fit within that red. So you see I'm a little short here, so let's add a tiny bit more. There you go. Okay, so here's our red pieces. Now we can add green. We can do this all on the same palette. Just don't touch your colors, but we can do green in a nice back and forth motion. This will dry within seconds. Okay, so don't touch it right away, but it should be dry as soon as I put these down. We're going to use the large and the medium leaf. And then last but not least, sorry, that was a, what color were you? Shaded Spruce, dark shaded spruce. And now I've got dark Daffodil Delight. And that's going to be my little flower center, like so. Let me grab my cut and emboss machine, because we're going to run that through together, and then we will assemble using glue dots. That's going to be your key when you're doing anything with vellum. cut and emboss machine all set up and ready to go. So we've got platform number 1. I know it's blurry, camera doesn't like it that close. That's that nice thick one. You do need your little shim, this guy here. It's got a number 2 on the corner. You need one of your clear plates, which mine has clearly seen better days. We're going to put all of this down on that platform. And again, I know it's blurry, I'm sorry. Camera doesn't like focusing when it's close. And then your other plate goes on top. And we're gonna run it through. Crickety creak. I use a purple one just because it helps me to remember which one's on top. Please, no, we do not sell these. I don't know where you can get them. I got it years and years ago. Okay, move that guy. And then what you should have is 1 flower petal. Always keep a container for your dies so they don't get lost. 2, now if you have one that's stuck, there's a little hole here in the die. Just press very gently. You'll be able to pop that out. Same thing with your little center. These always get stuck because the vellum is so thin. 3. 4. There's a leaf. The last leaf. Oh, the last leaf came out. Wonderful. See, we got all of that out of our little square of vellum. This, unfortunately, is garbage now, or you can try and get something else out of it. But let's put our flower together. So we're going to start with the 2 red flower pieces. Those are going to be the easiest thing for you to do first. And again, if you have glue dots, this will make your life so much easier. Okay, so I'm going to take this long one and lay it on the bottom. And then this kind of stubby one that's got the flat arch down there. Let's put 1 glue dot in the middle of the flower. That's all you need. Match your 2 flower centers together. Makes a pretty flower. We're going to add this little guy now using 1 glue dot on that wide space. And we're putting it right over the center of the flower. It'll kind of just look like we've got some wet dew in the flower of center here. So don't worry if you can see it, that's fine. Okay, you can, if you're really worried, try and color over it a bit, but it shouldn't be a big deal, okay? It'll just look like a flower center. You can put a gem there if you really don't like it. Next, we're gonna go with our 2 little leaves. So you can put them one at a time, or I like to connect them first and then add them to the card. So I'm gonna take the smaller leaf, put a glue dot on the back, and just put it on the very edge of my large leaf, like this. And then put a glue dot on the corner and put it on the front of this leaf because we are now attaching it in the back of this flower. Okay, it's just off to the side. Anywhere is good. And then 1 more glue dot, of course, because we need to actually attach this to the card. So this one I try to line up with the center of my flower again, because I want as little showing through as possible. So right in the center of that flower. And we're going to put this now onto the front of our card. Just make sure it's not hanging off the edge. It'll be tricky to get in an envelope if it is. See, it's pretty. You can see through it to kind of see some of the design in the back, but it's colored enough that especially while it's right in front of me, I don't really notice that difference as much. And then to finish it off, I love these gold gems. Unfortunately, they are going to be retiring, but they're a great solid gem for you to add to this card. 1 and 2. Just a large and a small one. there we go. And there's our card. Come back and stamp or do something later with the inside. We can make a little Christmassy version. We can switch up the cardstock and make something completely different too. Whatever works for you and whatever colors you prefer are kind of the fun way for you to do this set. So I hope you enjoyed this week's video. If you are new to my channel, I would love to encourage you to like the video, make a comment, and subscribe. And I really appreciate your support whenever you guys do that. And maybe go back and check out other videos because I have a whole plethora of them for you to watch, one every Tuesday. So I look forward to seeing you guys next Tuesday for another edition of Show Me How It's Done. Happy stamping, you guys.